G'day, it's Mark at HS Foil. I get asked a lot by people buying gear, newbies, right up to intermediate, which foil's the best foil? There's no, so short answer and long answer, there is no best foil. What you probably need if you're going to ask that question is the basic ingredients to make up your own mind. It's very simple, in fact. No, it's not, it's really complicated. But the easiest way to work out those parameters yourself, for your area and your region, your desired foiling speed, all that sort of stuff, is to look at the fundamental science behind foils, and then you can sort of figure it out. Now, my experience with this is coming from 10 years of proning, parowinging, winging, downwind foiling, and sup foiling. And I can tell you that I've had days where I've loved a foil that I've bought. I've just been like, this is a dream. And then just a day later, I hate the same foil. And I guess over the years, it sort of accumulates into a big mashup of kind of what you take from that and what you should have learned to stop you having terrible sessions on the wrong gear. So, all right, the first thing I want to talk about is aspect ratio. For those of you that don't understand that or know what it is. I'm going to use F1 because they write it on their brands, although I've written Axis, Unifoil, Code, F1, way before that, Slingshot, lots, Go foils, like all of them, I think. The aspect ratio in metric is written here on an F1. So this is a F1 skate, which is kind of considered a surf foil, a tourney foil. Aspect ratio of 8. So these days that's quite a small number, like an 8, meaning that it's a low aspect ratio. Now, in the same brand, just to keep it simpler, I'm going to go up an aspect ratio. This is a F1 Eagle. So the aspect ratio on this one, gee, I need my glasses. That's terrible. Looks like a 9.5. So it's starting to get wider, yeah, and thinner here. So that's called the chord. That's the span. So if you compare it to the skate, they're pretty similar size foils. The Eagle at the back, you see it's a bigger span, and I've chopped the tips off this one over the years as I've damaged it and whatever, and modified it a little bit, but it's a bigger span. You can sort of see it there. Now the next one in this same brand, worth a mention, similar size again. This is a 12 aspect ratio. So this is a 900 foil, the other two are 800s, or 750, 790. Look at the difference in the span on this big one. So this is a high aspect foil, very high aspect. So this is called an F1 Eagle X. So this is, and where I guess I'll explain now what the aspect ratio means. I write all of these foils, and all for different reasons. So this one in particular, high aspect, it just generally means that the pro of that is that it gives you enormous lift and enormous glide for less surface area, which means that at 900 it's a fairly fast foil, but the glide on this thing, the pump and the range you can sort of roll on a parowing and the speed you can do is super high. That's usually at the expense of other things like roll, how much you can turn it, because of course if you turn it really hard you're going to lift the tip and maybe crash or breach. That's an expense, I guess, a con to a high aspect. High aspect foils also feel everything because they're so efficient. They start to feel cross jump, cross bumps, sort of disturbances in the water like boils and things like that. They kind of react to all of that because they're kind of feeling everything, and quite a lot of water's moving over that massive spans as well. So it's gonna, as you get a boil on this tip, say for example on the end, it's gonna lift and it's gonna feel like you're riding a wild cat in boiling water, so that's the downside, and of course the plus is the glide and the speed. Now if you go to something the other end of the scale, like say the 8 aspect ratio, the skate, of course it's going to respond a lot less to boils in the water. It's going to plow along through disturbed waters quite well, but you're just not going to get that glide, and you can see this sort of design influence in gliders versus fighter jets, for example. Gliders have got a big massive span, and they're kind of soaring around on stuff forever with no power, whereas your jet plane's got a much smaller wing. Now let's go back sort of 5-6 years, just for shits and giggles. This is one of my favourite foils for in the surf 5 years ago, and I still get it out every now and then and ride it when it's really boily, sort of horrible, choppy, sort of sucky waves. And this is a very low aspect foil, and it was very successful in its day, and of course it turns amazing. It does glide, 'cause it's quite a big foil, fairly well. They just went bigger, you know, in the day to kind of get that or keep that glide. These are good fun behind boats as well, where you've got kind of, you know, you want to really turn sharp and your speed's low. So riding this again, sort of with the modern foils around, you kind of go, wow, this is so slow, but wow, I wish the other ones turned like this, you know. This was cool. But that might be an aspect ratio of 4, you know, or something like that, or maybe 5. It's really low. But yeah, it still has its place in foiling today, and I don't know, but I hope the aspect ratio chaps helped you. I think in terms of aspect ratio, that kind of eliminates a lot of the questions about which particular foil within a brand. A lot of the brands have got most aspect ratios covered, which is fabulous, and it's certainly not about brands today. I don't sell foils. I have no affiliation with any of them. But I guess you've got to look at the conditions where you're going to foil, and look at what that wave or that wind or that bump is going to give you for speed, and basically size your foil according to that. If you're sizing your foil according to the weather that's in front of you, you're already halfway there. And then, of course, regardless of brand, whether it's better for you to go faster to connect bumps, or it's better to go slower to stay with bumps, or you need to turn more, or you've got to iron out some of the wobbles when you go over reef sections, or whatever else. Start with the parameters that are there in terms of foil speed. If you've got to go really fast, and you're going to go fast because you've got waves that are pushing you, well, you're going to go smaller than you need to. And that foil that works really well, say in Sanur or Indonesia, or maybe somewhere where you've got fast waves, might be the best foil ever for there. But of course, bear in mind it's going to be pretty horrible when you try and use that in somewhere like Port Phillip Bay, where your waves are moving at 8 knots, and you really need to slow it all down just to stay with the energy that you've got. So I hope it helps, guys, explaining foil aspect ratios, and hope it helps you make some great decisions about your gear. Thanks for watching. Bye.